So, final film to talk about today. We have an anime film, a Japanese anime, classic one, probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Japanese anime film. It's on Hulu. I'm talking Akira. If you're unfamiliar with Akira, it came out in 1988. I'm just going to read the synopsis on IMDb. A secret military project endangers Neo Tokyo. That's where the film is set. In Neo Tokyo in the future. When it turns a biker gang member into a rampaging psychic psychopath who can only be stopped by two teenagers and a group of psychics. Okay, I mean, it's kind of missing a little bit there, but the synopsis is really probably not going to sell you, but a lot of other things are probably going to sell you on this film. But I have to kind of give a quick shout out. The music in this one is quite amazing. Who is it by? Who does the music? Shoji Yamashiro does the music. He's amazing. And it's also directed by Katsuhiro Otomo. And wow, dude. This film, just the fact that it came out in 1988 is mind-blowing. Because this is probably one of the best animated films I have ever seen. Like, maybe not narratively the best, but like animation and visually probably the best animated film I have ever seen. And it was made in 1988. And this shit stands up now. 32 years later? It's based off of a manga series of the same name, which came out in 1982, which is, fun fact, the same year that Blade Runner came out. So, yeah, the part of the reason why this is probably one of the biggest Japanese animation films is that it's probably the most influential. You know, this and Blade Runner, like, really set the tone for the whole cyberpunk, hard sci-fi genre. I mean, this film, it influenced it, like films like The Matrix, Chronicle, Looper, Fifth Element, probably wouldn't exist without this one. I mean, literally Chronicle, the film Chronicle, that found footage film about those three teenagers who like get superpowers, the story is pretty much like one of the characters is pretty much Tatsuo from this. The two main characters being Tatsuo and Kaneda. Kaneda is kind of a leader of a biker gang, and Tatsuo is sort of his like adopted brother who's also in the biker gang, and he's the one who gets exposed to this military experiment. But yeah, so also just the film just not only influences film, but just pop culture in general. I mean, we're talking video games, music, the cyberpunk genre. I mean, Cyberpunk 2077, hopefully that game is fucking good. We need something good to happen this year. But that game, I mean, you see the influences from this. I mean, and from films like Blade Runner. I mean, it's just a really awesome world, and I'm glad it was so influential because it's fucking cool. So it's influential, but how good in the visual style is amazing. But how good is the film itself, though, Michael? Well, again, I kind of just want to keep talking about the animation because it's just wow. It's so good. Just like some of the scenes that you're watching are just sheer jaw dropping, and like other characters in the same scenes are, you know, having their jaws dropped, and you're just like, it's your perspective. And that's what your perspective is your jaw is dropping. You're like, what? How are you doing this back in 1988? And I will admit, a lot of these scenes, excuse me, are very trippy and weird and sometimes downright disgusting. But like, I'm here for it, and it looks really good. And I'm like, yo, bro, that's gross. And yeah, it takes a lot to do that, especially pre-1990. It's kind of insane, animation wise at least. Man, I don't know what's going on with my voice. Sorry about this, guys. My voice seems kind of weird, but I swear to God, I'm not sick. Don't say that. I'm not sick. I'm denying it. I'm not sick, fucker. But hey, man, I'm talking a lot. Maybe I'll take a drink of water. But yeah. It's also, I mean, it also helps that the film is probably at the time when it came out was the most expensive anime film ever made at the time. But the good news is it quadrupled it quadrupled its profit. So it quadrupled its actual like funding. So that's kind of awesome. So well done, film. Well done. The setting is great. Neo Tokyo looks beautiful, and also in like a awful, like disturbing way too. Like this dystopian type of future. I mean, that's kind of what, this film started. This and Blade Runner, this dystopian future that looks really cool, but like living there would kind of suck. So yeah, Neo Tokyo is great, and just that also leads into just the general aesthetic of the film is just so perfect. I mean, that's kind of a big reason why hard sci-fi films are so popular, is just the pure aesthetic really enhances the content of the film, just like Blade Runner, like with the music and the visuals and the setting, and like the technology around it just really enhances everything about the story and just the general feel of it. And it's the same way here. I mean, just like the bike chase scene at the very beginning is very awesome. It's so cool, and visually is just so unlike anything you've ever seen, and it's just cool. Like that's just the best way I can describe it. But yeah, and just the fact that it just holds up. The film holds up. Like the animation, I probably will always hold up. I mean, it has this like gritty nature to it, but because it's old, but that enhances the film. And just the general visuals of everything it's just amazing. It looks better than a lot of animation today in 2020 and 2019. I'm like, bro, what? This is 32 years old. So the animation's kind of crazy, and it's a hard sci-fi story. I'm a sucker. I mean, hard sci-fi is kind of my favorite genre. So this definitely helps my opinion out a lot more because I sort of have a little bit of a bias. But I mean, the themes are very hard sci-fi. Dealing with humans gaining the powers of gods and just having this great power and how that can corrupt someone, and the themes of creation and also just absolute destruction with these type of powers. It has an ambiguous ending, which is open for interpretation, which I appreciate. I still don't really get it, but I've only seen it twice. This is my second time, and the first time I was using subtitles. I watched the dub version of this. But yeah, so I would love to hear from you guys if you've ever seen Akira and you kind of know what the ending really means to you. I mean, it could mean different things, but I think it does a really great job of being a little bit ambiguous. But I think with repeated viewings, you'll definitely pull something out, just like what Blade Runner does. I mean, it took me a couple viewings to get really into Blade Runner. I remember the first time I saw Blade Runner, I was just kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that. It looked cool, and it sounded cool, but I don't know how I feel about the story. And then, like, a couple more viewings, and you're just all of a sudden find yourself crying at the Tears and Rain monologue by Roy Batty at the end. You're like, oh fuck, yeah, I love this film now. So that's kind of what hard sci-fi does to you. You just kind of have to. It's like it takes time to you just have to keep exposing yourself to it, and you'll eventually fall in love with it. And it's the same here. In my second viewing, I definitely caught a lot more things. I mean, it also helps that I watched the dubbed version. I mean, granted, like, say what you will about dubbed versions with anime. I mean, there's those diehard people out there that just, always reads the subtitles. But sometimes you miss things because I'm not, like, the fastest rater in the world. So I miss things. So, yeah, that's great. But I will say the film is a little bit, like, kind of like the first Blade Runner film, a flawed masterpiece. How can Akira be flawed, Michael? It's the greatest Japanese anime film ever made. But I mean, if you really think about it, they're fitting I think it was like around 1,000 to 2,000 pages of manga into a 2-hour film, and I'm pretty sure I read somewhere the script was only 120 pages. Like, there's a lot of things that you're skipping over, I'm sorry about that. I think they're just dumping trash into a... Oh, that sounds great. Thanks, guys. I'm glad I live here with all this fucking noise. Just imagine if I had to sleep during the day. God fucking damn it. Oh, fuck this year. But, yeah. So, yeah, 2-hour film, 120-page script, and you're fitting over 1,000 pages of manga into that. 1,000 pages of story. Like, some things are going to be lost and some things are going to be forgotten. And that kind of leads into, shit kind of getting lost and not really understanding what exactly is happening. I mean, again, repeated viewings will help you with this. But, I mean, first-time viewers probably will be lost. And we'll be like, what's exactly happening? Who are these people? Why are these people doing this? Why are these kids psychics? What is exactly happening? How does Tatsuo get his fucking powers? Why is he such a psychopath all of a sudden? But that's kind of okay. I mean, a lot of these animation features and TV shows, I mean, their main purpose is to promote the manga, and it does its job usually. I mean, like, I want to read Akira now. It kind of does. That's kind of the reason why I love Berserk so much, is because I watched that 1997 series and it ended. I'm like, holy fuck, I have to read the manga now. And that's what I did. And Berserk is one of my favorite stories of all time now. So it's not really a bad thing. So yeah, I'll have to check the manga out now. But yeah, I think the film pretty much does as good of a job it really could do with condensing a large story into a 2-hour film. I think it does the best job it could have ever done. That's why it's so popular. But I mean, I kind of want to hear from people who've read the manga and seen the film and how well the film does condense that story, because I haven't read the manga, so it'd be kind of an interesting perspective to hear from. But does it have the movie magic? Does one of the biggest Japanese anime features have the movie magic? Fuck yeah. Of course it does. I mean, granted, my hard sci-fi opinions on things probably help it a little bit, because, I mean, the first time I watched it, I was pretty lost, but I still enjoyed the experience overall. But now I got a little bit more out of it the second time, and a lot of the story makes a lot more sense to me. But yeah, I still see how it can. You're still kind of lost, and hard sci-fi is not a very accessible genre, and this film's not very accessible to people. But I think it's just worth watching for the mainstream audience out there, because just to see how influential this particular film is, because you're going to see a lot that you've seen before. But usually those things that you have seen came after this one and has been influenced by this. And just the animation in general is just some of the best of all time. And you see why. But yeah, so definitely has the movie magic. I mean, if you're not a hard sci-fi fan, I would still kind of try to recommend this one, because the animation is just so goddamn good. But if you're a hard sci-fi fan, and if you haven't seen this film, what are you doing? Watch Akira. Like, it's really great. It's pretty special. It's a special film, and it's a must-see anime. I mean, it's one of the biggest. I mean, if you've ever a fan of anime, I mean, of course you've watched this one. But yeah,